From a forklift successfully lifting and moving a poorly parked car to another location, to a man taking a spectacular fall on the escalators while sliding down the ramp, here are some of the weird and unusual moments that were captured on camera. Let's get started. This mover is taking a piece of furniture out of this truck while being very careful not to drop it, as you can see for yourself, because his primary objective is to take care of his client's belongings. However, this operation is a bit difficult for this man. Firstly, because of the narrow ramp that hinders the mover in his movements, and secondly, because one of the drawers of this piece of furniture suddenly opens, which makes things even more delicate for our friend. But despite all this, he does his best to keep the piece of furniture in balance. He even manages to hold it with one hand and close the drawer with the other. However, this gesture, which lasts no more than a few seconds, is going to cause a real catastrophe. The poor mover slips suddenly, dragged by the piece of furniture which finishes its race on the ground. Ouch! One can imagine his reaction as he contemplates the damage with a helpless look while wondering what to do. But as they say, there is a solution for everything, and this mover certainly solved the problem by compensating his customer, and that's it. Nevertheless, this incident taught him to be much more careful in the future. The driver of this truck was in what appears to be an industrial area, where he had probably come to deliver some goods to one of his customers. He certainly wanted to finish it as soon as possible, but there was a little problem. This car was parked there and was in the way, which could delay him. Since he didn't want to wait patiently for the driver of this car to return, he decided to call a forklift. Yeah, no kidding. And as luck would have it, that forklift was able to lift the car and move it to another location, much to his delight. This must have caused him some problems later on with the car driver, but the driver of that truck had a good reason after all. The main thing is that he was finally able to deliver the goods to his customer and finish his task as soon as possible. Now he can rely on the forklifts to move all the cars that are in the way. Watch out for anyone who gets in his way. This girl was fast asleep, a long, deep sleep from which she did not expect to emerge until the early morning. But nothing happened as planned because she got up from her bed in spite of herself. You have understood it well. This young girl suffers from sleepwalking. As you can see, she went to the piano because in her subconscious, she wanted to play a little. Well, you could say that she ended up doing what she wanted by playing a few notes while still snoring. Although it might have hurt her because of her position, of course, but fortunately her parents, who had not failed to film the scene, were there to help her, and she was able to return to her bed and get back to normal sleep. As for her video, it naturally went viral on the internet. You are now staring at that car parked next to that giant excavator, wondering what is going to happen to that meaningless vehicle next to the machine. You can't wait to find out, can you? But suddenly, the excavator rises up right above the car. You open your eyes wide to see what's going to happen, and then the moment you've been waiting for arrives when the excavator drops a huge amount of water on the car. But your amazement turns to horror the next moment you discover the state of the poor car. All that water released by that giant excavator has reduced the car to a pile of scrap metal. It's all very unfortunate, and you feel sorry for the driver of the car as you imagine the look on his face when he discovers what has happened. However, you quickly smile again when you learn that it was basically one of the many challenges of that brand of this excavator is facing on camera. That's reassuring news. You have to admit though, that this scene simply fascinated you, and since you watched this video, you can't help but watch it again and again. This man was obviously in a subway station. He wanted to go down the escalators to reach the platform, but he was unpleasantly surprised to see that the escalators were not working, probably because of a breakdown. Forced to walk down, this man found a way to reach the platform without too much effort. How did he do it? By sliding down the ramp. Although it was both forbidden and dangerous to do so, this acrobat launched himself on the ramp and hop. He managed to make a nice slide. But his act didn't last very long because his slide ended badly, and the unfortunate guy ended up on the escalators. The fall must have been very painful, not to mention the curious and mocking looks that the others threw at him. This situation didn't last long, however, as the man eventually got up and walked back down the escalators. Needless to say, he learned a valuable lesson from his act. And then because of this slip, this man has largely made the buzz on the internet. Two motorists were driving leisurely on the highway. They were hoping to arrive at their destination on time and without problems, but their car was not moving normally. Convinced that there was a problem somewhere, the two drivers stopped. They got out of the car, lifted the hood, and found the source of the problem. A lizard of more than 40 centimeters was stuck in the engine. Wow! These two people must have had goosebumps when they saw the reptile. But after the first few seconds of fright, one of them pulled the lizard by the tail, managing to make it flee. And that was it. The problem was solved, and the two motorists could then drive away in peace. However, they will remember this funny incident for a long time. This construction worker was handling his machine in an area he wanted to polish as perfectly as possible. One wrong step, however, caused him to lose his balance and the machine to fall out of his hands. Oh dear! Although he was on the ground, the unfortunate worker tried to regain control of the situation. He even managed to hold onto the handle of his machine for a while, but it only made it spin around more and more, even threatening him and the other workers by running after them. But fortunately, other people were there too, and with a bit of luck, they would have intervened in time to put an end to this little game and stop the crazy machine. Phew! This poor worker had an unusual and dangerous experience that he will not soon forget. Because of what happened to him, he even made the buzz on the internet. The customer of this pizzeria had just bought a dozen pizzas, and as you can well imagine, she had only one desire: to go home as soon as possible to enjoy a few good slices before they get cold. However, carrying all those pizzas at once was not going to be an easy task for her. But with some effort, and by being very careful to keep all the boxes balanced, this young woman managed to lift all her pizzas at once and get out of the pizzeria. Except that the boxes prevented her from seeing in front of her, and the poor girl ended up tripping and falling face down with all her pizzas under the helpless gaze of the pizzeria employee. What a disaster! This young woman could say goodbye to her pizzas. Well, she still had the possibility to order another 10. We hope, however, that she did not hurt herself too much by falling, and that she ended up forgetting this embarrassing incident that made the buzz on the web and social networks. That will teach you to hold several things at the same time next time. See those three workers holding that big window? As you can guess, they want to get it in through a door. But the task seems very difficult for these three men to accomplish. However, they don't get discouraged easily, and they multiply their efforts to get the glass in through the door. But fortunately, this young woman appears at the right time. Finally, some help. Well, this brave woman couldn't leave these three workers to fend for themselves. Onward, madam! Here she is, running towards these gentlemen to give them a hand by holding one of the ends of the glass. But this help, which seemed so precious at the beginning, will quickly turn into a catastrophe for these three men, because this woman is going to break the glass. How could this happen? That's the question that these three men and this woman are asking themselves as they look at the broken window with a sorry look. That's all we needed. But what can they do? After all, this woman didn't do it on purpose, and it can happen without warning to any other person. Besides, this woman had only good intentions, you would say, right? Hopefully, though, these three workers didn't get into trouble at work because of this incident. But anyway, they must be laughing today when they see this unusual scene that made them viral stars in social networks. Not long ago, you were watching a report on the American city of Seattle, the largest city in the state of Washington, which, let's face it, made you want to visit it one day. However, something struck you because in the middle of this report, you suddenly saw a young girl getting into a car and getting out again right after. No doubt about it. This girl is practicing the oldest profession in the world, and this moment was apparently captured by the camera of some motorist who happened to be there. Of course, you continued to watch this video, mostly out of curiosity, because like this motorist, you wanted to see and know what really happens on the main streets of Seattle. And there you soon found what you were looking for. You came across other young women walking or pacing down one of the city's main avenues, waiting for a customer to stop by and ask for their services. Well, Seattle seems to be full of these girls offering their services in full view of everyone and in the middle of the day. It's a sad reality that you're very disappointed, especially since the reputation of the city of Seattle has been tarnished by this undesirable practice. But what can you do? Seattle is not the only city in the world that does this. And you think that things might change in the future if these girls could find another profession. After all, most, if not all of them, would have chosen this trade reluctantly, just to support themselves and their families. Reputation or not, Seattle has left its mark on you, and you will never forget these images. You have just watched some unusual moments that were captured by the cameras in different places. Which of these moments surprised, shocked, or amused you the most? Leave us your answers and impressions in the comments, and as always, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. Did you like this video? Then don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell to receive all the notifications and not miss anything of our next publications.